This is what we do. This is what we're on now. Let's go. Let's go. What's up, dude?
Now they lost it on the 40 acres. On campus grounds, we gather round. Discussing goals and dreams and life's adventures. The Texas Longhorns, they're the talk of the town. Podcast tales of the 40 acres. Where we dive deep into the game day stories. From touchdowns to heartbreakers. We discuss it all, Texas Longhorns glory. There we gather around each Thursday night. Talking sports, it's so alright. From football to basketball, baseball to softball. Tim Wayne and Harry, we cover it all. Sports talk is our passion, our delight. Thursday night at 8:30, we unite. We discuss the scores, the plays, the teams who might. Let's dive into the game, let's ignite.
12 conference champions.
Yo, whoa, hold on a second. Got a little switcheroo here. What's up? What is up? It's Texas Longhorn Fan Battle Podcast with my guy, Tim Wayne. And tonight, our guy, Chance Mock. What's going on, fellas?
How's it going?
Awesome. Chance, how you doing today, man?
Hold on, let's see if you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
We can. Can you hear us?
Hold on. All right, can y'all hear me?
Yes,
we
sir.
sure can. Can you hear us?
I'm clear.
All right. Now we're cooking with freaking Crisco.
Yes,
That's
sir.
awesome, dude. Out there in the wilderness, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm great, man. I'm out here at the ballpark. This is where I spend most of my time. Matter of fact, when I'm out here, a good buddy of mine used to play at Texas very briefly. Before he went and pursued a baseball career, ended up hitting 460 plus home runs in the major leagues. His name was Adam Dunn. It's a good buddy of mine. Yeah, he runs this organization. So my Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays are spent hanging out with Adam and my buddy Vincent Sinisi, who he played at Texas for a little bit in baseball, then transferred to Rice and won a World Series there.
Nice.
Played a little pro ball for a while, so that's what we do.
That's awesome, dude. Well, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us on a big recruiting weekend. It's a great chance for you to tell us some recruiting stories. But before we get started, we're going to pay some bills here real quick, Chance, and we'll get on moving. FanBattleSports.com, where you can get the latest and greatest on the AFC South, including the Colts, the Texans, the Titans, and who's the other team? The Jaguars, who just paid Trevor Lawrence an obnoxious amount of money. FanBattleSports.com. Also, if you're interested in starting your own show, go to the website, click out the contact us link, and we'll get you all set up with the setup similar to this. FanBattleSports.com. And, of course, follow us on – yes, sir.
Hey, I don't know if FanBattleSports.com has one, but if they want an AFC East with my Buffalo Bills –
listen,
I'll be happy to do that.
Listen, hit us up. We are trying to expand across all divisions in football. We've got an NFC West and an NFC East, I believe. So if you want to expand in the AFC to the AFC East, let us know. We'll get you hooked up.
With the addition of Aaron Rodgers, we've got plenty of material. I mean, he skips minicamp to go do lots of fun things. It's a wild world out there.
That's perfect. If you want to just kind of guess what Fan Battle is, it is trash talk at its greatest. It is all about talking trash, talking about the other teams. I always like to call them the Mayo-eating Titans. The Texans, who have a one-hit wonder and they're off to the races. It's all about trash talk. So that's what we're all about. So yeah, definitely hit us up. We'll if you want to start another channel for the AFC East, we'll do it. We've got Facebook groups set up, Twitter accounts. We'll hook it all up.
And we may have to talk about that.
Hey, for sure. All right, FanBattleSports.com. We might have a new channel, so we will keep you in the loop on that. Chance Mock running the AFC East Fan Battle. That would be kind of cool. Of course, follow us on the YouTube at Longhorn Fan Battle. Almost at 50 subscribers. We're still growing the YouTube front, and we'd like to help us grow it out even more. But follow us, like, comment, subscribe on the show. If you have any questions for Chance, we'll try to get them in during the show here live, and then we'll also comment after the show posted. Hey, Chance, I know we know who you are. I know a lot of the people know who you are. But why don't you tell us a little about who you are and kind of what you're working on these days as you move on into the next venture of your life?
Man, well, who I am. Probably the most important job I have in the world is I got a little boy named Cash, my little 15-year-old son, and that is what I spend the majority of my time doing. But other than that, we do. I have a pipe company called Vamo Pipe, and it's actually came from a little baseball world. When you're out there and you hear all the time at baseball fields, there's a lot of Hispanic heritage out at the baseball fields always.
Yep.
You always hear Vamo, Vamo, and it's let's go, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's let's go. I mean, it's Vamonos, but shorthanded, Vamo. So
Yeah.
we came up with that, and that's our tagline. Let's build, let's bond, let's go. And so we're just a pipe brokerage, and slinging pipe everywhere. We got pipe going to Libya right now. That's what we do.
That's awesome. That's cool. How long has Vamo been around?
We just finished our first full year back in April, so we've been around for about 13 months.
Okay.
It's been it was interesting. Everything in life happens for a reason, and I had been talking to a buddy of mine who was in the pipe business for one of the larger companies really in the world. And I'd been talking to him about, what would it take to get this started? What would we need to do? And he kind of ho-hummed about it. And then, as things would happen, his company went a different direction. And he was left looking for a job. And I said, dude, sometimes when God shuts the door, he's really pushing your ass through another door. And so
Sure.
I said, now's the time to do it. And I'm a big believer, a huge believer, and you have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. Like you do not grow when things are comfortable. It just doesn't work that way. It never has. It never will. You've got to be willing to work. You got to be willing to go through the pain. And when you start a company, this is the third one that I've started. First one was a sporting goods shop in Austin when I was still living there. And that did really well. Ended up selling it. And then I had a remodeling company here in the Houston area that kind of fell victim to COVID because, shocker, nobody really wanted you in their house during the whole COVID deal, especially, so that deal. But, you got to be willing to take a chance. Nothing in this life ever happens without being willing to take a chance, right? Like y'all would not be here doing something y'all enjoy and love without taking the chance at it, right? It
Right.
takes my dad calls it, cautious stupidity. He said, son, you're fearless, right? Because most people don't want to try something because what are they afraid of? They're afraid to fail. Well, if you're afraid to fail, you might as well just stay on the couch, eat popcorn, and hide from the world because you're never going to get anywhere, right?
Right.
Some people, for some people, the safe way is fine. I had a guy that worked for me in the print shop, and he had been there because it used to be Rooster Andrews years ago for Texas fans that remember. It was over on the drag.
Yeah. Over on the drag, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we moved out to Round Rock over off Main Street, which that whole area is just blown up now. But, when you do those things, you got to be willing to fail. And it's scary. And we had a guy there who had been working for Rooster since he was 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
And he was, yeah. And he was an older gentleman, and all he wanted to do was collect his paycheck, come to work every day. He was there 15 minutes before his shift started. He clocked out 5 minutes afterwards, never missed a day. But that was his thing. And, for me, I'm the kind of guy that nothing's ever enough. I've got to have more. It's just the way I'm built. And, that's just a person-to-person thing. And it's one of those things that when you talk to a lot of athletes, they are that way because we know what it's like to take risks. We know what it's like to put it all out there and to be willing to take the risk that if you do fail, the consequences that come with that. For us, it's easy. I didn't care. I never cared what people said. I cared about the guys in the locker room. Those
Right.
are the guys that I cared about. I cared about my family, and my family being my blood relatives and the guys in the locker room with me. That's all that mattered to me. Because
There you go.
if you don't, man, you talked about it. When y'all are talking about the AFC South, you just talking shit the whole time, right? And if you sit and listen to that, like it's gonna wear you down. And so I didn't. I didn't. I will tell you, when I was playing, I was the worst. Mac would always say, Coach Brown, he'd say, hey, don't read the paper. No matter what they say, you're never as good as they say you are, but you're never as bad as they say you are either, right?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, but man, I want to know, because that was fuel to me.
Right.
I don't, because I don't care. I mean, I love Kurt Bowles, and at that time, Suzanne Halliburton and those people. They're good people, but what I knew that what they were doing was trying to sell papers. That's it.
Sure.
They
Yep.
hadn't put on the jersey. They hadn't been out there and had guys that are 350 pounds trying to squash you. They didn't have to deal with any of that, right? And
Yeah, fair enough.
every day I'm going against Michael Huff and Cedric Griffin and Aaron Ross and Quentin Jammer and Rod Babers and Nate Vasher. I mean, we can go down the list.
What a
And
crew.
I'm doing it every day. And that's what Saturdays were easy, man. Saturdays
Yeah.
were the fun days because we were playing some dogs at practice. And I'm telling you, there's nothing you want to do like going into a locker room after you whoop the ass of those DBs and going there talking, y'all can't stop us, bro. Every once in a while, they get us, though. They get us.
Yeah.
That's all right. We got the next day.
Talking about, practice being the hardest thing you guys did and what you know about this team and the accomplishments that we did last year, I kind of want to ask before we get into recruiting here, because this is a big part of it. What does this team kind of echo to you as we head into the SEC? Do you see some of that type of competition? And if not, where do you think that stuff lacks, if anything, at this point?
Man, I don't. So here's the thing. The culture really changed when Sark got here. It changed a lot. And there was it's interesting because, you heard people talk about Tom. Tom came in after Charlie, and Charlie was, man, I really liked the Charlie Strong hire. I was a big advocate for him because, what he was doing prior to coming to Texas, he was one of the hottest names.
Yeah.
And I thought he was going to do great things. But it turned out he was a guy, and he proved what most people knew. Texas job is not a job just about coaching. A Texas job is about alumni. It's about shaking hands. It's going to the dinners. It's doing the Longhorn Network. It's, John Bianco is going into the SID Hall of Fame because the man he's the best at what he does. But basically what that job is holding your hand and taking you from interview to interview. And Charlie just wanted to coach football, right? And then Tom came in, and see, Tom was a graduate assistant when I was at Texas, right? So I
That's great.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he was there with us. At my two graduate assistants, the year I was a starter in 2003, were Tom Herman and Major Applewhite. And so, I had some great minds, so I knew how smart Tom was.
Right.
The problem with Tom was Tom knew how smart Tom was, and there wasn't anybody who could tell him any different. You know what I mean? And I saw that when he was a young kid. He was just a GA with Coach Davison. I mean, he had his opinions. He had his thoughts on how things should be. And I'll tell you right now, I didn't always love Greg Davis's play calling, but on a day-to-day basis, knowing the game of football, damn, the dude forgets more every day than most people will ever know, And so we had a lot of really strong football minds that I was able to learn from. That, it was great. It was a great experience. But Tom I don't think, held the players quite as accountable as Sark does. And Sark's a player's coach. Like, you can tell, and I talk to guys that are in the program, you can just tell they have a lot of respect for the coaching staff. And the thing is, you have to have black and white, right? Obviously not race, but as to what is acceptable on this team and what's not, right?
Sure.
And you saw, and I'm not mentioning names because I don't like dragging kids that are under 22 years old through the mud, but had an incident before the draft, including one of our players that just got drafted by an AFC South team, right?
Okay.
And he was dismissed from the team. Now,
Yep.
What was that? Was that the right call? I don't know. Were they maybe looking to make room for somebody else? Was the writing already on the wall that, we got somebody else coming in anyway, we're going to make room? Or is that just Sark saying, hey, look, this is what we do. And I'm sorry, it's not acceptable and you got to go.
Right.
But at the same time, you hear all the players talk. There's not a one that is afraid to go talk to their position coach or go in and talk to Coach Sark and have that relationship. And that's how it was with Mac, right? Like, we understood who the boss was. And Mac was not a yeller. Now, he's a clapper. I don't know if y'all remember. He was a clapper.
Oh, we know all too well. That's the guy.
He was a clapper. But he wasn't a yeller. And the thing was, my dad played for Bill Parcells, and Bill was a big yeller at practice because Bill's philosophy was, by the time we get to the game, if you screw up, that's on me. I didn't prepare you, But he would get on you during the week. And Mac was very much that way. So when Mac did yell, you knew, like, we're gonna pay attention, because some of these coaches, you know how they are. They turn into Charlie Brown's teacher because all they do is yell.
Yeah.
And it just turns into womp, 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 womp. Okay, I got it. Yeah. And it goes in one ear after the other. And so so Sark has built a relationship with these players. They trust him, right? They trust him, and they can go in and talk to him. And I think that he's been very honest with some guys. You've seen them, big time players that we thought were going to have a big impact here.
Right.
But they found somebody else to replace them. And basically Sark said, hey, you got a spot, but if you want to play, you need to go somewhere else because it's not going to happen here, right? And that kind of honesty, man, it's a brutal business, but it is a business. And that's what you got to understand. You don't line up Lambos if just for shits and giggles, right?
Right.
Like, you're trying to make money, right? We're trying to get the best.
Right.
And I love that. I love the fact that Texas did it, because here's the thing. When I was playing in the Gridiron All-American game after my senior season, and then I went to Las Vegas, and actually Jim Harbaugh was my coach at the one in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
And everywhere we went, all those guys, you're Texas. Y'all got it easy, man. Y'all got everything. Y'all got all the money. Y'all got all well, yeah, we do.
Right.
So you know what? In today's world, man, with Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and TikToks and all that stuff, these kids, you saw that video go viral, right? That wouldn't have happened 20 years ago. Even if the Lambos were parked outside, it would have never gotten the exposure.
Right.
I think Texas should just lean into it. Into it.
We agree.
Be like, hey,
go all out. Make them
a
sponsor. Go all out. This is what we've got. And you know what? That Lamborghini dealership is in Austin. And they already have a partnership brewing, as you can tell. I mean, obviously with everything going. Yeah, I agree. I mean, just go all in. We last week we talked about the field ads and what would you do for field ads. And I don't know if you put Lamborghini on the field, but maybe a patch on the jersey. Like they're gonna have to. I don't know what they do as far as adding goes, but I agree they should go all in.
See, here's my thought, because we talked about this, and I do a show called The Outsiders, and we had this discussion, and my thought is this: number one, you really can't mess with the jersey because you're gonna have the SEC patch, you gotta have the NCAA patch, you're gonna have to have the Nike swoosh. You got too much on there, right? Like we don't want to be, but that Lamborghini, because what's the Lamborghini logo? It's a bull, right?
Yep.
Like it's a bull. Put it on the 25-yard line opposite of the SEC, so you got them on each alternating, and just have it on there.
Oh, that's cool.
You might be on to something. You might be on to something right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you're telling me right now, a kid from California or a stud recruit coming out of Pennsylvania or out of Florida, because I know we're recruiting kids from Florida, right?
Oh yeah.
Why you telling me they don't come here on a night game and you got the Lamborghini logo out there and there's Lambos out there and you got the burnt orange and white lights flashing, you got the drone show. Man, it's a freaking party. Like,
It's awesome.
You want to be in the party, right?
Right.
Oh, absolutely. And you look at everything CDC's done, man. So kudos to CDC and everything he's done. Not just help turn around the athletic department, the football program, but the entire athletic department. 3 directors cups in 4 years. He's been phenomenal.
I will say the football experience is gotten an upgrade as well. Just going, heading down to the stadium, the things that you can do outside of the stadium, before the game, after the game, during halftime, it's just been a really, really good experience since CDC's been here.
Well, but what has he done? The man has been accessible and he listens to the fans.
That's
he takes
true.
his
100%.
experience and he listens to like one of my favorite stories. We all know about the guys from Occupy Left Field, and they're out there baseball. Well, a couple years ago, they put a big Rudy's sign up in left field, and the Occupy Left Field people couldn't see, right? So they're tweeting about it. I'll be damned. He sees it on Twitter. He responds to it, and I think within a week, that sign was down. It was moved because Rudy's a great sponsor of the University of Texas, and they're a great
Shout out to
partner.
Rudy's. Yep.
And they're great, but he listens to the fans. He's out there before games. He's shaking people's hands. He's taking pictures. He's listening to the fans, and he's making it a fan experience, right? That was, and there's a lot of parallels there. People don't think about it, but when Mac came in, what was Mac's big deal? Come early, be loud, wear orange. Because think about Texas. What did Texas used to do? They didn't roll in. I mean, the fans didn't get there till the end of the first quarter.
Yep.
Right.
There's still tailgating happening, and that's where the country club came in. But Mac wanted people in the stands early, and they did. Well, DeConte's done the same thing. He's made it a fan experience. The number one thing that's important for any program is to put a winning product on the field. That's number one. Right. I don't give a damn how good your experience is. Nobody wants to go watch their team get their teeth kicked in. Like,
fair enough.
I mean, it's not like, let's be honest. The reason why the spring game has so many people is because it's hard for a family of 4 in today's economy to be able to go to a game, man. It's expensive. Right. So to have that experience, so if people are spending that kind of money to come watch the team and they're investing in you. And that was one thing that I used to disagree with people. They're like, man, just because they bought a ticket, they don't have a say. No, man, no.
They do have a say. Yeah.
They have a say, because without them, we're just playing pickup football in the sandlot like when we were growing up with no fans.
Right.
It's got to mean something to people for it to mean something, and so you got to have it. CDC's done that, and you look at it. Man, I know baseball that left a bad taste. That A&M baseball team is damn good, and playing.
They're very good.
I've got to pick to win it. I mean, I had to pick to win it. I mean, with Montgomery going down, obviously that's going to play a big part.
Sure.
And I think that North Carolina team is really, really strong pitching wise, and Tennessee's got some bad. There's a lot of good teams, but Texas obviously baseball had but basketball's made a resurgence, football's made a resurgence. Look on the girls' side, that softball team is badass. Volleyball girls, what? Volleyball girls are insane. Try to go to a volleyball game.
It'll be hard to. And they're building a new gym for them. Like
they earned it. That's the thing.
Yeah, they did. Absolutely. Back-to-back national champions. Probably going to win again this year. Right?
Yeah, they are.
See. Yeah. So, I mean, it's awesome to see Texas at its highest. It's fun to cover them when they're at their highest, because just to kind of give you a little background on us and our viewers kind of know, Tim and I we've known each other for a long time. We met each other through, we worked at EA, 10, 12 years ago, whatever. And we met each other and we were Texas fans. And that's how we, kind of grew our friendship. We had a podcast like right before the pandemic, and it was over the radio waves and whatever it was. That I started Fan Battle Sports a couple years ago with a couple of friends. And, I was like, you know what? I want to bring back Texas, and I hit up Tim, and we've been at this for almost a year now at this point. Actually, our 1-year anniversary is coming up.
Yep.
And so, yeah, man. I mean, we know all about the dedication and trying to get into it, and what it takes to grow something like this, and the success behind it is what it's fun to cover this program now versus just the football team. So it's been great covering, even through the ups and downs. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, it feels to me like when I was on campus, because when I was at Texas, you know, I mean, we averaged 10 wins a season.
All you
over
did
the
was
five.
win.
Yeah, that's all we did, right? And in basketball, we had those guys with Brandon Mouton and Boddicker and Klotz and Buckman and, you know, James Thomas and Royal Ivy. I mean, you just go to – so we're hitting Final Fours in basketball, right? We're having a chance for national championships in football. Baseball's winning national championship with Anna Barris and Justin Simmons and those guys and Houston Street. And, I mean, they were just sick, man. So we're literally – like, we were at the peak of Texas was the place to be, you know?
Yep.
And so, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm like any other fan at this point, right? It doesn't matter I played at this point. I'm just a fan. I'm not sitting in the meetings. I'm not doing anything. I'm a fan. I got to where I wasn't even watching football because the product was bad, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Because it frustrated me. I got to where it wasn't fun because I want to see the kids succeed. I want the university to succeed. So when we were having those years where, man, winning 5 games, 6, like that. What? Like we're supposed to be winning 5 or 6 games in the first 6 weeks of the season. Like,
yep.
That's how. Yeah. So now it's good, and I am a fair weather fan. I'll tell you, I love the team, but
I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate it.
But it's true. Like,
it's hard, man.
I'm not one of those that's a live or die. Now I will tell you, I'll wear my Texas shirt. I'm not afraid to wear it, even when we suck. And I'm not going to invest 3 hours of my life every Saturday just to be disappointed.
Fair enough, man. Hey, we don't blame you. Listen, we've sat through some brutal games ourselves as Texas fans. And whether it's the Pluckers in the stadium, you're at home, man, we feel you.
Man, the only way I'm going to endure that is a whole bottle of Whistle Pig. That's just.
Hey, Tim, you got anything for Chance real quick before we move on?
No, man. No, this has been great. He's a fan. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it's cool to see former players, you know, fan out over a team that they represented, a school that they attended. It's cool to see it. It's cool to hear people being brutally honest about the sport and how, you know, it can get you in your feelings. Because I know there's been plenty of times where I've been in my feelings about Texas. And, you know, again, I'm just 10 minutes away from the campus. I could hear the cannons go off when y'all were playing, Chance. I could hear y'all when you scored before the TV even, you know, before the broadcasting even came across. I could hear it. So, you know, that's a great, you know, it's kind of good to hear, you know, from a team, a member of those Longhorn football teams of how, like, it hurt to watch Texas lose. It hurt, you know, when recruiting wasn't that great or when things didn't work out in the favor, because we don't really get that much from players, former assistants, and things like that. So it's just good to hear that, man. That's dope.
Man, Tim, I'll tell you, and it's funny because we were just talking about John Bianco, and he is the best. But I swear to God, there was days that he hated. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
No, I thought you said I lost you, but no, you know, John, there was days that he hated me because I was even brutally honest when I was playing. Like, I believe in telling it how it is, you know.
Right.
I'm too dumb to remember lies, so I don't even try. You know, I'm just gonna tell you how it is, and if you get mad about it, like that's on you. I'm sorry that your feelings got hurt, but that's not my problem.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Fair enough. Hey, Chance, I know you've got
we live in a society right now that people are, man, everybody gets too damn offended, right? Like at the end of the day, we're all people. We're all trying to live. We're all trying to make it, right? And if we can't learn to laugh at each other and smile and hug each other and love each other, even when shit's not good,
right,
we're never going to survive.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Chance, I know you've only got a little bit of time, so before you get out of here, we've got a huge recruiting weekend this weekend, and Tim and I will wrap that up and talk about it. You give us a really quick recruiting story from your time on the 40 before you get out of here, and we can get you out of here.
Man, you want one about me, or do you want one about a recruit that I thought we were going to lose. We ended up landing because they gave him
Whatever you want.
Here's the problem. First, let me tell you about mine. So
Yeah.
I was not allowed to drink in high school. It's not that I wasn't allowed to. I didn't want to. I had my goals, right? I had things I wanted to do, and I wasn't willing to risk getting an MIP or something like that in high school. I had bigger fish to fry, right?
Right.
Sure.
So I come on my recruiting trip, and I got Reed Boyd as my host. And Reed he was from New Braunfels. He was a linebacker. He had about 6 screws loose, and there was only 7 screws in there. So, like, he had that one screw hanging on by a thread, keeping it together, but the rest of them were rattling around in his head. So Reed took me to a little place called the Daiquiri Factory, and he took me at like 7:30 in the afternoon on Friday night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, this is cool. So he starts at one end of the blenders and just starts going down the line. Keep in mind, I hadn't drank. So next thing I know, I wake up like I don't remember nothing, not a thing.
Oh shit.
And swear to God. And I wake up and I'm in my hotel room and I'm like, how did I get back to my hotel? I got like 10 missed calls. See, we didn't have text messages at that point. We just had the phone. I had my Pronto phone. Man, I switched from Motorola to a Pronto phone. I'm from Houston, okay? Like,
Oh gosh.
we all knew 281-330-8004. We were hitting up Mike Jones.
Yep, that's the one.
So I had like 10 missed calls from my mom. I was like, oh no. So they were in town, right? So I get up and I don't know what's hit me. This is my first hangover, and it was the worst thing ever. And they're like, we got to go to Coach
First one's
Brown's
always
office.
the worst. Yeah.
I was like, man, I can't go see Coach Brown like this. And my dad's like, hey, if you want to run with the pups, if you want to run with the big dogs, you got to piss with the pups first. So get your ass up and let's go. So that was my first night. And then Saturday night, he did the same. See, I didn't learn, right? Like, that's the problem. Like, I thought I was supposed to do this. So that night, and if y'all remember, on that trip, there was a guy named DJ Williams who was from California, great linebacker, phenomenal. Him and a running back out of Georgia named Albert Hollis were both on that trip with us. And Corey Redding was hosting DJ Williams.
Oh,
and so
wow.
Yeah, we were having a great time. And this will tell you about like the brotherhood that we had. So we're all out having a good time. I mean, I was kind of coming back to living, you know. I mean, they told me, you know, just have a cocktail, it'll be all right. I was like, okay. Right. So you know, we're having a good time. Well, next thing you know, I hear a little stir, and Albert and DJ leave because we were all together at this place called The Drink on 6th. I don't know if it's still there or not, but it probably shut down. But
yeah, it's gone.
That's long gone, Chance. It's been a little while.
And I quit going to 6th Street my senior year because I was like, I can't do this anymore. But anyway, so there's this big. Well, turns out Albert and DJ had wanted to go to a club that was more catered towards, you know, just was more of a black club, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And Corey's like, no, our team is here. They're like, no, man, let's go. And Corey straight up told them, hey, y'all take your ass down there if you want. I'm not going. My team's here. We're not leaving my team. And they did. They took off and left on their own.
That's
and
awesome.
Corey said, peace out, dudes. And that's when we knew, and I'm not saying that it was that they couldn't have come if they wanted to, but let's just say the priority shifted down because we were looking for people that wanted to be part of the team, part of the family.
Right.
Like we're not doing our own thing. Like these are my brothers. This is who we're hanging out with. I'm not, you know, and so that was when I knew, man, this is a different thing. When you got guys, because DJ was the #1 rated linebacker in the country. And Albert was either the 1 or 2 running back in the country at the time. So you're talking about high-class recruits. Right. That Corey's like, no, man, this is my teammates. We're not leaving our team. What's wrong with us? So that was awesome. I survived that night, by the way.
Hey, that's all that matters, man. You survived. All that matters is that you survived.
I survived. So then I'm taken out, and they put me with a guy named Kendall Briles. So I'm hosting Kendall. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to do what Reed Boyd did to me. And, you know, he doesn't drink. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't either, but we're about to find out, right? So then that night, so we go and I take him to the daiquiri factory. I'm like, here you go. And he's like, I don't drink. I'm like, yeah, you do. You do tonight. Come on. And he wouldn't, so I drank it. So I get him another one. I'm like, all right, you ready? He's like, no. So long story short, Kendall Briles on his recruiting trip ended up taking me back to my dorm because I had a great recruiting trip for Kendall.
That's awesome.
He still came to Texas, so it couldn't have been that bad.
He sure did. Right. It worked out well because, you know, you respected his wishes and you got to enjoy the night yourself.
That's right.
Well, hey, Chance, I know you've got to get out of here. Tim, before Chance has to leave, anything you got for him?
No, man, this has probably been one of the best interviews I think I've ever been a part of.
We definitely have to do it again. So definitely, we'd love for you to come back on sometime, either before the season, during the season, whenever you got some time. Let us know. We'd like to have you back on.
Absolutely, and you know, like I told you, I'm happy to do it anytime. Normally, I've got my podcast studio set up, so I apologize that tonight we had baseball, but we'll get it going during the season, and we'll make it happen. And I mean, hell, once the season gets here, we're gonna have so much to talk about, guys. I mean, how much fun is it that we're going to the SEC how we are right now, right? Yeah. Imagine making this jump 5 years ago. We'd have all been going, oh,
it'd have been
shit, 2 years ago. After that 5-7 season, Quinn's first year, that would have been brutal.
Yeah. Oh, we're going, man, a lot. But right now, I think it's so exciting. I think it's exciting for the fans because the fans have bought in. And, you know, I think the players are bought in. And the SEC didn't do us any favors. I mean, they did put us on the road against Arkansas. They put us on the road against A&M. They hooked us up a little bit with the fact that I think we go to Vanderbilt. We got Kentucky at home, Georgia at home. So we don't have to go to the Swamp. We don't have to go to Tuscaloosa. We don't have to go to Baton Rouge. We don't have to go to Ole Miss, or we don't have to go into Mississippi State. Some of those tougher places, you know. So the stage is set for us to make a good run. That big battle, I mean, back to back Oklahoma, Georgia. That's
gonna be brutal.
And what Texas fans need to get their mind wrapped around, Texas can compete with anybody in the SEC. We proved it, right? Yeah. Like we almost, I mean, if we don't miss on a 4th and 3 from the goal line and drop a pass, if we don't do that, we beat LSU at home the year that they were arguably one of the greatest teams of all time, right? With Joe Burrow and that group. We should have, if Quinn doesn't get hurt, we probably beat Alabama when they got Bryce Young. I mean, then we go into Tuscaloosa. We can compete. What Texas fans need to understand, it's not the week in, week out. It's the grind. Because when you're in the Big 12, you have off weeks. I mean, I hate saying it, but you do. You have off weeks. Right. And Texas Tech's always going to give you their best shot. They are. But it's Texas Tech. It's not going into Fayetteville, Arkansas, even though, you know, Arkansas not this great team. I mean, they still got some dogs. You saw what they did to us. They beat us up in the line 3 years ago. They owned the line of scrimmage.
I can tell you that's a game that's probably circled for Sark in this team, because these seniors now, these juniors and seniors were in that game where they got where they got their ass kicked. And I think that's a game. They're gonna be ready for that one. That's the one I'm probably the most excited about, is getting that revenge game at Fayetteville. So
because this is what bothers me. It's not the skill set, right? Like if you get beat by better skill players, you go, all right, they got better players. They out physicaled us. That's where I just put you on your ass. Yeah. I'm like, no, man, like you don't punch me in the face and I'm not gonna lay down. I mean, you might whip my ass, but you're gonna get a hell of a fight. And that was where they didn't do. And they got punched in the mouth and they got beat up on national TV. So hey, you're gonna have to go do it. And hey, A&M, I don't know what their offense is gonna look like. That defense is gonna be really good. So that game in November, man, it's gonna be a battle. So hey, I can't wait. I'm excited. And, you know, I'll join you guys anytime y'all want. And we'll talk about the real best team in the NFL, the Buffalo Bills, with Keon Coleman and my guy Josh Allen. If y'all want to talk about that someday, we'll do that. But
listen, I actually really like Josh Allen. So I have no hate for the guy. I just need him to do something in the playoffs for me. Hopefully, Keon Coleman can help him get off the hump.
I think it will.
Yeah.
Chance, my team is all over the place. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I don't know what's going on right now. I can tell you what's going on for anything, man. It's just I don't know.
They're so frustrated because they're so talented, right?
Yeah. Very
That's
talented.
the frustrating thing. Like I was a huge Dak Prescott fan. I still am. I like Dak the person. I like Dak's game when he's, being normal. It's when his brain fries, and I'm like, well, this is not even the same player. Like, what was that throw? Like, what? 2 years ago, the spike ball deal. I'm going. You don't have any time. What and what? Why are we throwing the ball in the middle of the freaking field? Like,
hey, we can listen. I know Josh Allen's had some lapses too. Let's not try to let him off the hook.
Oh, stop it! It hadn't been on Josh.
Listen, it's either he's had a lapse. He doesn't have the receivers. He doesn't have a run game. Come on, it's always something with Josh Allen. He's got to be held to the same expectation as everyone else. He's an elite quarterback, considered an elite quarterback, isn't he?
He is. I think he's the number 2 quarterback I think him and Joe Burrow are kind of 2A, 2B. Look, Patrick Mahomes is head and shoulders above everybody right now. Not that his skill set is the best, but he wins. And you know what? Everybody all last year, y'all think about it. How many drops? Sky Moore, God, they were ready to shoot him in Kansas City. He couldn't catch
Xavier.
He couldn't catch a cold.
Right.
And now in Buffalo, we got Valdez Scantling. Maybe he can come back. I don't know. I don't think he's making the team, but that's just me. But, look at what Patrick was able to do with a bunch of he was able to take young guys and he elevated their game. And that's what great quarterbacks do, you know? And so it's Josh's time. Look, Josh had Steph come in and kind of raise his game. And I think they both elevated each other realistically, but Steph raised his game. Well, now look, Josh, you've been in the league 6 years. It's your turn now to take this young receiver who is a stud. I mean, he's raw. He's a basketball player, but
Keon, he's really good.
But he's good, but he's got a lot to learn. Now we're going to find out if Josh can be that leader like Patrick is and take a young guy and bring them along. And we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see what they're able to do with Worthy. I mean, it'll be really interesting. Speed kills. His senior year, he was phenomenal. If you get him in space, it scares me to death thinking about Andy Reid being able to scheme with that speed, right? Like, especially when that's the hump we got to get over if you're a Buffalo Bills fan. That's the hump, right?
Yeah.
But that's, man, you think about what X might be able to do, and God, it's scary what they might be able to do with him. And I hope he has a great year. And speaking of the AFC South, let me just say this real quick. I wanted Adonai Mitchell in Buffalo so bad.
Can't wait to see you.
I think he's gonna be freaking.
He's gonna be
special,
a stud.
Man.
I'm so excited.
I'm
a Colts fan, as you can tell. But him next to Michael Pittman Jr. I think it's a great pairing for him. Michael Pittman is kind of the guy that came in with the T.Y. Hilton and kind of but T.Y. wasn't there the whole time. He had to learn a lot on his own, right? And through multiple quarterbacks. Having this core that we have on the offensive end, and as young as they are, is very, very exciting.
Well, do you think you could put a line into Anthony Richards and Richardson and tell him to quit running the damn ball? Like, it's the NFL, which means not for long.
I could do it. I listen. The last thing we want to see as Colts fans is another franchise quarterback ending his career on a career injury. Right?
Man, he is so
I don't think I could do that again. That was a rough 6 years. I don't think I can do that again.
But they're set up. They're set up, right? Because
they're very set up. So excited.
You've got a Colts team they're loaded. You got a Texans team, which I don't care any way you split it. They got young talent all around them, and D'Amico's a stud.
Yeah.
So
those
two quarterbacks, man, there's going to be a lot of and Trevor Lawrence is another young quarterback in that division that's going to be, and we'll see what Will Levis does. I don't know. I'm still my jury. I mean, I know he's good at making videos apparently, but
hey man, he's good at drinking mayo in his coffee, bro. That's what he's good at.
Oh my God.
And eating bananas with the peel.
Oh.
So, but
sign
anyway,
him up. He's a Hall of Famer. He's
it's
a Hall
going
of
to be a
Famer.
lot.
Sign him
It's
up.
going to be a lot of fun, man. There's a lot of young quarterbacks that are coming up right now. They're exciting, and it's good for the game of football.
Absolutely. The parity in the game is probably about to be at an all-time high. So it's very, very
Yes.
exciting. Hey, Chance, we really appreciate you coming on tonight. We'd love to have you back on soon. Enjoy the weather out there. Enjoy baseball. Good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
Man, I appreciate y'all letting me have some time with y'all. You guys are great. It's a lot of fun. I'd love to do it again.
Absolutely.
Yes,
we'll talk soon.
All right.
Welcome.
Peace. Chance
What
Monk,
in-
everyone.
What in
Tim Wayne just spent 45 minutes on the fandom role. Like you look speechless, Tim, for a good chunk of that.
Well, okay, again. How many Longhorn players do you know that are actually just that upfront to say, hey, I hated when we were going 5-7?
It's not hard to do when you go 5-7.
Well, it's okay, but the thing,
at that point, Charlie's starts first year, we go 5-7. People don't realize that's really the second time in 3 years we went 5-7.
I understand.
Yeah. So I think it's part of it, right?
But it's one thing to hear from like a player that didn't play, or to hear a player that didn't really have that much. There wasn't. It's just like to hear it from a quarterback.
Yeah,
is it's jarring.
Kind of cool.
It's that's exactly what it is. So that experience, hearing that from a quarterback, like, man, I hated when we sucked. Man, I hated this. Man, I wanted this to go this way and it didn't go this way. Or man, I wanted this to go this way and it didn't go this. Like, honestly, I think that's probably one of the better things that I've liked from Tom Brady. That's what I've liked from Peyton, even Eli.
They hated losing.
They hated losing, but they voiced it. And you don't really hear that much from quarterbacks. Those are 3 quarterbacks that Hall of Fame quarterbacks, might I add. Like,
2 of them the greatest to ever play the game.
Right. Yeah. Like, and one with arguably 2 of the best wins ever. Like that's impressive. So, like, to hear it come from a quarterback that was on the field, that was during the time that they were winning, right?
Yeah.
Because they, like, Chance wasn't there when they were going 5-7. They were winning 9-10 games a year.
Every year.
We forget the year in 2000. If they don't lose to Oklahoma, they probably end up playing for the national championship.
National title. Yep.
Like people like forget that. It's so many different. There's so many points in Mac's tenure where they had an opportunity to go to the national championship. If they don't, fumble one game. I think about Texas Tech all the time. Blake
all
Gideon,
the time.
The Michael Crabtree incident.
I almost said Crawford, the Michael Crabtree catch. But even before that, the Blake Gideon dropped interception that should have never allowed Michael Crabtree to do what he did. I think at the end of Mac's tenure is probably the thing that hits me the most, and we've talked about this a lot. Just the constant recruiting misses. I'd like to talk to Chance about the recruiting misses. And I think what we'll do is, I guess Tim's having some internet issues. What we'll do is we'll get Chance back on the show. I'd like to have him in a studio where he's not in a hurry, where he's not in a rush, where we can actually sit down and have a conversation about some of these recruiting things. We might try to schedule something soon. But, Tim, I was saying I'd like to get Chance's perspective on the recruiting misses that Texas has had over the years. You talk about, we've talked about it ad nauseum, right? The Andrew Lucks, the Robert Griffin IIIs, Johnny Manziel was a huge recruiting miss. Adrian Peterson was a recruiting miss. So I'd like to have the opportunity to chat with Chance about that, and just a lot more just about football. But we had a great time with Chance. He was probably one of the more fun guests we've had on the show. So we really appreciate Chance spending some time with us. You can't hear me? Tim cannot hear me. So Tim has to fix his computer because he cannot hear me. I think the people can hear me. Let me do a quick check here. I think I can hear myself. Yep, I can hear myself. So therefore, this is your fault. Click the settings and see if you might have to reset something there. But while Tim is figuring that out, we have a huge recruiting weekend coming in this week. I do want to wrap up the show here with the recruiting visits. This is massive recruiting weekend. And there's a couple guys here that we haven't talked a lot about that, we've heard over the last few days. There's one name that's crept up quite a bit over the last few weeks. How we doing, Tim?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm good.
Perfect. Tim's back. So I was just saying this huge recruiting weekend. We've got some guys that are coming back, some guys that are committed. There's one guy in particular that's starting to really creep up the minds of some guys out there that this is a guy we need to look at. And so it's definitely a guy we need to talk about. But hey, some of the names coming in this week, we got Dorian. Obviously, the big guy is coming into town this week. Decorian Moore will be in at Texas this week. Now, I don't know. I think his announcement isn't until August, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, his is August 30th, which I don't get. I don't know why he's choosing that day. But August 30th, I don't necessarily remember where we are on his recruiting trail. Of course, Ohio State is playing a major key factor. LSU's still in there. Of course, anytime you talk about a major Texas recruit, you got to throw Oregon in there in the recruiting in the recruiting battle because they recruit Texas players so well. So I don't necessarily know where we are in that. We might be the last.
We're kind of in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Because he is at Texas. He went to Ohio State a couple weeks ago. I think LSU might be at the end, but everything that we're hearing on Decorian Moore is it's a 3-team race, right?
Yeah.
It's Texas, it's Ohio State, it's Oregon, and Texas. From all intents and purposes, from what we're hearing and what we're reading, they're pretty far up there. But as all recruits do for all sorts of conversations, you go to Ohio State and they're like, man, that Ohio State visit was sick. He had some one-on-one time with Ryan Day, get some one-on-one time with Chip Kelly. And I think that Chip Kelly aspect of it is something to look out for.
Yeah. That's a major. Adding Chip Kelly to a talented roster already is nuts. You know what I mean? That is, Chip Kelly's got the NFL experience that they can use to their advantage. He's got, couple, national championship runs under his belt as well. He's done it all pretty much from a coach's standpoint. He's pushed out a lot of talent. A lot of people forget that Chip Kelly was the main guy running at Oregon. He was that guy. He had the Anthony Thomases and Michael James and Marcus Mariotas and things of that nature. That was all up under Chip's regime, and Chip really brought them back because at one point in time they did kind of have a slump, but he has been in the mix for quite a long time. So having that is a major key factor for Ohio State. But I also think, of course, that Sark has the same thing. He's won a Super Bowl. He's won. He hasn't won a Super Bowl. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's won multiple national championships. And of course, with the wide receiver talent that he's put in the league within the last year or so, that kind of says a lot too. So Sark is, ascending. Also, he's got a history. He's got three Heismans players with what was that? Bryce Baker and Devonta Smith.
Yeah.
There you go. So he's got they both of them have track records. So I know that there's a 3-team race, but that Ohio State, to me, that's a really important one. And Oregon is all, I don't know what it is that kids and recruits love about Oregon. I've never been to Oregon. That would be one of the things I would love to do. I'd love to go see an Oregon versus whoever game. But they get up there. Of course, Nike's up there. The Team Jordan building is up there. Michael Jordan has an office. LeBron James has an office. And they have a section for Kevin Durant as well. lifetime lifetime Nike member as well, former Texas Longhorn player. So they got a lot of star power up there as well. So it's gonna be interesting. Along with a host of other things with other recruits. We've got quite a few recruits coming in. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think the latest On3 recruiting predictions have Texas at a 90% chance to land him.
That's
like 89.4.
If that's true, that's great. That's really good.
They have LSU at a 4% chance, Oregon at a 1.7% chance, Ohio State at a 2% chance. So this could be a solid opportunity for Texas to seal the deal. That's going to be the big dog. That's you're hoping that's the guy that kind of drives the class this year, because there's a couple guys that can help do that. This week is also Riley Pettijohn, who's a linebacker that Texas has been eyeing for a long time. A little bit different guy than Anthony Hill. Anthony Hill's a little bit more physical. He's a little bit bigger. Riley Pettijohn's all about speed and instincts. He's a downhill linebacker. This guy's amazing.
This guy he's got that hybrid build, right? Between safety and a linebacker. He'll probably, if he does commute or wherever he recruits, he's probably going to put on about another 15, 20 pounds. And so he'll be at that they have him listed at 215 currently. By the time that he starts, and he actually steps on the field, he'll probably be about 230, 225. He'll be leaned out, right? And he'll be a thumper. He will be a thumper. So who as a recruit that's coming in this weekend, again, this is only one of three, or this is two of three major incoming guys that we have over the next couple of weeks here. Who's a guy outside of the big guys with Pettijohn and DeCorian, who are one of the standouts that are coming in that you're looking forward to seeing that we land here?
Yeah, there's a couple guys. I think the first guy is Lamont Rogers. He's the offensive lineman. I want to say he's out of the Houston area. Oh shoot, Lamont Rogers is out of
Mesquite.
Mesquite, yeah, he's out of Mesquite. Mesquite Horn is where he's at. So, Mesquite Horn's one of the newer schools in the Mesquite area. This is a guy that I've been told from just what I've been listening to. This is a guy that is huge and just a big guy. It looks like at 6'5", 310, he looks like a guy that might come in and maybe play guard, maybe a little bit left guard. He's been playing right guard at Mesquite. Maybe a guy that can compete for left tackle. Interestingly enough, the guy that's going to be his little recruiting visit guy, I've heard is a guy that we met, the left tackle, Trevor Gooseby.
Yeah,
that's going to be his recruiting partner. So it's just a guy that that kind of been through the same journey, has had to sit for a couple of years, has had to learn from Kelvin Banks. And Trevor Gooseby is going to come in next year, and he's going to be ready to roll in the SEC. I promise you. We got a chance to meet Trevor Gooseby at an Orange Bloods event. Very good kid. Really good kid. And then when he told us how much we weighed, I was shocked. Because that dude is lean. And
leaned up.
And so they're gonna lean Lamont Rogers up. This guy is a big guy. He's gonna be a strong guy. He's quick on his feet. He's a basketball guy, so he's quick on his feet. He can shuffle really well. He moves very well for his size. So it's a guy that is very interesting. There's a guy coming out of Georgia, and we've talked a lot about Brandon Brown, and we know defensive tackle is a huge need for Texas.
Yeah.
And this is a guy I don't know too much about. He's out of Greene County High School in Greensboro. His name is Kevin Wynn.
Kevin Wynn, yeah.
And 6'2", 320. He's already got that defensive tackle built. This, from what I've been reading and what I've been hearing, this is the guy that's ready to roll.
So he's a plug and play. Like he's
plug
ready
and
to
play.
start day one.
Ready to roll. He's a 4-star guy. He's a number 57 nationally. So he's the 57th ranked recruit in the nation right now. And this is seen as a guy that is he's going to be really good. Now, Brandon Brown, surprisingly enough, is the guy that we're all talking about. He's only a 3-star recruit right now.
Right.
And this is the guy that's seen that could make that jump by the time he gets to Texas. I don't really know.
Right.
I know we're putting a lot of stock into Brandon Brown, and we're hoping that
He looks his tape, his highlight tape
is a highlight tape, right? Yeah,
crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
But I think there might be concern about his size and whether or not he's going to be big enough to play defensive tackle at the college level. And I think that's the biggest concern.
So okay. So, they do have him listed as 6'1", 285, 286, one of those. Do you think he could possibly transition to a defensive end?
If he wants to. I think the problem is going to be, though, right? Does Texas want to take a defensive end in this class? They've already got guys that are going to be here for the next couple of years, right? And secondarily, if they move, does Brandon Brown want to move to defensive end, right? Does he feel like he's going to be a guy because here's the other thing. You also have Lance Jackson coming in this class, who's an absolute freak. That guy, when you talk about freak, Colin Simmons and Lance Jackson on this defensive line is going to be insanity.
Yeah, absolutely.
That guy, Lance Jackson, is going to be insane. I would be shocked if he's not a 5-star by the time he comes out, because that dude is nasty.
He's a big boy. He's freaky.
He's long, right? He's 6'5", 245. That's insane.
He looks like this is kind of overdoing it, but he is he's built like a power forward. It's like he's huge. Yeah. His wingspan is crazy long. I think I posted something last week in regards to just his measurables are just out of this world. You would think that this kid belongs on a basketball court, because he's long. It looks crazy, but he is, and that is one of the things that we haven't really seen. We haven't had any of those freakishly tall. No, I'll take that back. We have had that, but just on the defensive line, we haven't had that. We haven't had that in a while. Now we've had freakishly strong. We've had Malcolm Roach, we've had Sweat, we've had, just a number of defensive tackles. You can even go back to Corey Reddy. We've had some freakishly strong, but not tall and just
athletic
yeah.
And I think it's a different game when it goes to the SEC, right? It's not going to be all about strength anymore. The game is changing,
right?
And as the game evolves, this is the other thing. And Chance talked about this a lot, and I wanted to point it out. He talks about trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's really funny is I often like to compare coaching and just the relationship building of coaching. I compare it a lot to being, a manager at a job, right? It's all about relationships. It's all about creating relationships, empowerment, trust. And that's really what building a great program is all about, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's the thing that this team has taken on is they trust when Sark says, hey, you've got to do this in order to, and he's going to tell them straight up. He tells us straight up what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Sark is a very honest guy. And some people might take that as not so good, but I think it's obviously worked fine. This program is on the up. I think Lance Jackson is a guy that's going to be a stud for us. Him and Colin Simmons on opposite sides of the field. Very, very excited.
I want to chime in on one thing before we move on here. I was thinking about we talked about the size of Brandon Brown, right? He's not quite 300 pounds. Do you know who wasn't also quite 300 pounds?
Aaron Donald. I knew you were about to say that because he's got that same physique. Aaron Donald is also ungodly strong. And
that's what I'm saying. And what we've seen so far, now again, it is a different level of competition between college and high school. But I'm going to assume that the guys that he's playing against in Florida, and Florida's no slouch. They produce a lot of talent. They've got a lot of speed. Maybe you take an undersized defensive tackle to get more speed. You know what I'm saying? To put more pressure on those guards. Maybe you line them up over the center. You know what I'm saying? You line him up over the center, see what he does from that point. I'm gonna say he's probably gonna be in a 3 technique, being a little bit undersized like that.
Yep.
But if he's able to move a literal human and control him either way, I'll take the underside every step of the way. Because again, with him being that strong, even if you would put on 5 or 6 more pounds, that's going to do a lot for him. It's just I think the way Sark is moving, and again, I never paid attention to his weight or his size, because what I saw on film shows me that he's capable of doing it. And of course, we all know that Texas is known for packing the pounds and making the guys stronger. It didn't work out for Jordan Whittington, and that wasn't supposed to work out for him. He's supposed to be lighter, you know what I mean? But defensive linemen, of course, we've always had the freakishly strong guys. So I'm actually kind of excited to see how he turns out, because I think he could be an Aaron Donald type. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Aaron Donald, but if you can get that guy, if he's good for some pressures up the middle and he can do it by himself, that's great.
Yeah, that's great. It'll be interesting to see how it fits in to the course. I also looked at the school he goes to and like the level of competition. He goes to a 4A school in Florida. I don't know what that really means. They were 10-2 last year, 4-0 in district. But they're a 3A school, not a 4A school. So they're a small school. So the other piece to this is the level of competition, right? He's basically going from a 3A school to whether it's LSU or Texas.
Right.
He's going from a 3A school in Florida, which is small. Those guys aren't going to be as talented to the SEC. I don't think he's going to be the immediate impact guy that Texas fans are hoping for.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be a project.
You know what's going to happen? He's going to get developed.
No, and for sure.
Yeah,
and we'll see what that development looks like this year with Baker, right? And that's going to be very telling, and I think that'll go into a lot of. We might. I don't think he's announcing till like November.
Oh, okay. I
think it's like November, December but he's already committed to Texas. So he basically is waiting out the season. I think what he wants to do is he's waiting out the season. He wants to say how Baker develops these defensive linemen in the SEC, and then he's going to make this decision. And that's just what it feels like. I'm not mistaken. He's not announcing until December.
Okay.
There's not really. There's a couple other guys on here. Tristan Castro, who's a 4-star guy. He's a 4-star cornerback out of California. He's currently committed to USC, but he's still taking visits. That's a guy that I don't know too much about him. That's a guy we might want to look at. But that's it for the week. And then there's a random 4-star cornerback visiting in the middle of the week next week. Dijon Lee out of Mission Viejo. Which next week is another stacked week, right? Next week you got Michael Fasusi, Khalil Lockett, Jamie French. 3 guys that if you can get those 4 guys, I'll tell you what. If Texas can land Jamie French, DeCorian Moore,
I think if you land any one of those guys, it starts the waterworks. I think the domino starts to tumble.
Yeah. What I was saying is if you can get all 4 of those guys, you're probably going to have the number 1 class.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that is not only is that 5 4-star guys, that's 5 guys in the top 25. That's 4 guys in the top 25. Khalil Lockett is currently number 11 according to On3. Fasusi is currently 27. French is currently 25, and DeCorian Moore is currently 5.
Right.
Yeah, he's the 5th best player in the entire thing. Right.
Right.
That's 4 4-star, 5 stars, and these guys are going to come in and immediately make an impact.
Do you think we get any commits this weekend?
I don't know. I don't think so. Unless like it's tough to say. I think it'll be a couple weeks because these guys like Khalil Lockett, he's got Texas this weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, he's got Texas next week. He's got Florida State this week, which we'll see what happens there.
Right.
And then he's got like this weird. he's got this weird midweek visit on Monday with Alabama, which is I don't know if they're doing. I don't know if that's happening because of just like the small amount of window of time that you have. I don't know if that's the reason why it's only such a short window.
Right.
What some of these guys are just trying to fit visits in. A lot of these guys are trying to get their visits out before spring camp, right?
Right.
I don't know of anybody that's so far heavy into Texas right now that they could potentially commit this weekend. Maybe Riley Pettijohn. I've heard that might be somebody that might make a commitment.
Okay.
I would say that it would be a couple weeks for anybody. It's
Right.
just because if I look at Riley Pettijohn, he just visited A&M last week. He will be no. That could be one to look out for. No, he's at A&M next week.
Pettijohn?
Yeah, Pettijohn's at A&M next week.
Oh, okay.
So A&M's got the last visit there, but I think this has been leaning heavily Texas for a little bit.
Okay.
Let me take a look. Yeah, actually, there's a lot of people. Basically, people are saying 100% Texas.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens there. These visits, you just never know what happens at these visits. Somebody might take Pettijohn out to drink and he doesn't want to drink and they make him drink and he just says, yeah, I'm going to go hang out with somebody else. I don't know.
He said, heck yeah, man, this is where I'm supposed to be at.
So, hey, Tim, we've got to get out of here. But before we get out of here, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Tim Wayne on Twitter. You can also find me at Longhorns Fan Battles or LH Fan Battle on Twitter as well. I don't do the trash talking. You guys already know I don't really do much of that. I leave that for my guy over here. I leave that for him. I jump in there every now and then. I don't have the energy to do as much trash talking as my dear friend here. So I tend to just make pretty posts. I like making stuff pretty. I like talking about esports college football, which if you think about this, next week, we're officially 1 month away next week from the general worldwide release. Now, of course, if you have the deluxe edition, we're 33 days away.
33 days.
So it's here.
It's coming.
It's time. So everybody, let's, if you want to talk about EA Sports College Football, I'm going to throw something up tonight that I definitely want to rattle some feathers. It's about the transfer portal and it's about college football quarterbacks, past college football quarterbacks. If they happen to be in the transfer portal, who are you going to go and hit up to come and make your team better? And it's pretty nasty because it's like you don't really go wrong at any of these quarterbacks because all of these quarterbacks, even though I hate some of them, like they would probably be an instant impact on your team. So I want to see people argue over that. So that's what I like to post about. So is this like current quarterbacks or quarterbacks from different quarterbacks
times?
of the past? So okay. I'll give
us an example.
Okay. Cam Newton, Tim Tebow, Vince Young. I think Lamar Jackson is in one of the posts. Like, if you had an opportunity to call one of these quarterbacks, who are you calling? I'm only calling two. But there's other quarterbacks that I want to hear people talk about.
Oh yeah. There's one that I'm calling for sure, and I'm doing everything in my power to get him here.
I'm only calling Vince, and I'm only calling Cam Newton.
Those are my two. I might call Vince, and no disrespect against Vince Young. I love Vince Young. He's awesome, but I'm throwing Lamborghinis at Cam Newton. I'm not even playing.
Cam Newton was such a beast, bro.
He was better than Vince in college, bro. He was so good. I have no shame in admitting it. He was so good.
You think Cam Newton was better than Vince Young?
I think he was more. Yeah, I do. I think Cam Newton's a better thrower of the ball than Vince Young is.
Okay.
I think he can throw the ball better than Vince Young. Vince
Okay.
Young was more electrifying because he just had electrifying plays. But Cam Newton, that dude could do it all literally.
Yeah, he could run in, he could throw. I think Vince could throw the ball well.
Not better than Cam Newton.
Who throws a better deep ball? I think Vince got him on a deep ball. Vince deep ball was pretty.
Do you remember Cam Newton's deep ball at Auburn, bro?
I do remember Cam's. I do. I do. But I also
here's the question: would you take Lamar Jackson over either of them? I wouldn't.
No.
Because I know, you know, Cam and Lamar both won a Heisman. I still think Vince Young should have won that Heisman.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Now I do, man, it was just I feel that there was a lot of and you know how I feel about this. I feel like this, like I've been feeling like this for the longest since we've met each other. The amount of hate, again, we just talked about recency bias. The media has just now started to get on the jock of Texas, right? Anything else prior to that, they were not the media, and I mean ESPN. I'm talking the only person that I could really say that had Texas's back was Joel Klatt. Other than
You
that,
talking about like right now?
yeah, I'm like that's
Bro,
why I feel.
Listen.
That's why I feel like
don't be disrespecting JD Pickell, bro.
Oh yeah, JD Pickell. My bad, JD. I love JD. JD Pickell is also he's very blunt about that situation too. Oh, and not Aaron Murray. What's my man that played at he's from Dallas. He played for Alabama. He won the first
national. Greg McElroy.
Greg McElroy. So those are like three, right? Yeah. Three, and we could throw Josh Pate in there too. So four out of the major four people in the market of sports, like I feel like the reason why USC or why Reggie Bush won that Heisman is because Reggie Bush was the talk of the town, and
because USC had won like 3 years of games in a row.
Well, and that's true, and that's well deserved. But I honestly, if I put 2 and 2 together, I think USC could still win without Reggie Bush. I don't think Texas gets to the national championship without Vince Young. I don't think that happens.
Oh no, there's so many games that year where it's just like, oh shit, the Ohio State game that year, like we don't win that game without Vince Young.
I don't think we beat Oklahoma State. People forget
that was a close game.
That was a really, really, really close game. We were down 30-something points to that Oklahoma State game.
We're going to halftime. I think it's like, what is it, 31?
35-0.
Yeah. Oh my, bro, I can't remember that game. That game was such a
and they ripped off 7 touchdowns in one half, dog. Like, what are we talking about? So again, I'm gonna post that. I really want to see how people think and what they think. Whether it be Longhorn sports, and let me shout out the people that are not a part of the Longhorn community that still have these conversations with us. I see them, I appreciate them, because again, like, you know, we are fans, and that's short for fanatic. But it's also cool to see what other people think outside of the community. Now, some of it is just straight up BS, but there's a couple of you guys out there that are like really, really smart when it comes to talking sports, and that's what I appreciate. Listen, I
appreciate the dumb people too.
I mean, I don't necessarily appreciate
the dumb people.
I got that's because you got the time to cuss them out. You want to cuss them out. I don't care.
Stupidity is pure entertainment.
You have great comebacks. I do not. That is not. You are verbal. I am physical.
I'm definitely not a physical fighter. I'll leave the fight in a second. Yeah. My wife asked me how I fight, and she told me to show her one day, and she probably laughed in my face. So I don't fight. But hey, we've got to get out of here. You can find me at the Uncle Gandhi. You can also find me Tuesday nights with my boys, the Horseshoe Mob. Shout out to those guys. We've got some cool stuff coming up for them. We've got some cool stuff coming up from us. Spoiler, in case you're wondering, next week there will be college football news. There is going to be a deep dive I'm going to guess it's presentation. So we will be talking deep dive next week. But between now and then, my name is Harish. This is my guy, Tim. We out of here. Peace.
Till Gabriel.
Go high, go low,